So I would say my motivation for making these videos like recently and like the new direction of the channel is I'm a believer that we actually create all of the pain and suffering in our own lives. And I can't say we create every single bit of it. You know, people get cancer or some unforeseen circumstances that debilitate us or harm us, set us back. But I believe that if I could put it into percentages, at least 75% of our problems and suffering that we have in life is created by our thoughts, our beliefs, our habits, and just the way we interpret the short time that we have on this earth. And a big motivation, obviously, is to not necessarily give you all the answers, not necessarily to be a motivational speaker, to be the all-encompassing wise man. Like, that is not the goal. It's just to produce thoughts, to produce a new chain of thought that otherwise may not have been put into your brain. And if you know me and if you're close to me, you know that I don't really follow the society, like the norms, like the societal norms or traditional ways of thinking. I mean, there are a lot of components that I do live by that are traditionally, have been around for a while. But I consider myself a free thinker, which can have multiple definitions. But I just like to think that I have a wide scope. I'm not closed-minded, and not to say that closed-minded is bad or open-mindedness is good. It's just who I am as a person. I really like to challenge whatever I believe today and whatever I have believed in the past. I don't really like to accept it for what it is, for face value. I like to peel back the layers like an onion and just see, like, bit by bit, like, why do I think that way? Why does society think this way? Why am I doing the things that I'm doing? What controls my emotions? What controls my actions? And I believe, like, just observing, like, who I am as a person. Obviously, I live with myself 24/7, but also looking out into the world of my loved ones, my friends, associates, just people I've been around in my life. I notice that people create their own problems. They and by the way, it's part of human nature that we want problems in our life so we can learn how to overcome them and solve them. But a little bit deeper than just problems. It's suffering. Suffering is like a continual thing that we don't know how to get out of. I don't think we have to suffer our whole life. I think being alive and being a conscious human being, suffering is a good portion of who and what we are. But I don't believe that it has to all be suffering. And by the way, I also don't think life is supposed to be joyful and just amazing 24 hours a day. I think that it's a balance of there is challenges and suffering. There's also successes and accomplishments. But I think a lot of the problems that we have, especially today, I would consider a debt society, a materialistically driven society, a social norm society where we all are looking around at what everybody else is doing, and we're always comparing what we have or don't have to what other people have or don't have. And then we're essentially assigning ourselves a score relative to what people around us are doing. And it's normal. We are social creatures, so we inherently form hierarchies of success and social status. We automatically, we like to simplify everything and put everything into a category. So we say this person is this, and I'm this, and they're that. But that's black and white. But life as a human being is not black and white. Whereas if you're an animal, it's black and white. It's like, I eat to survive, and I protect myself. Like, that's black and white for animals. We're not We're not like that. We're conscious beings that have very complex, like conscious minds, and also very complex emotions. And a lot of times we kind of feel lost, or we feel like we can't get out of ruts in our life, and we never sit back and become introspective and actually try to find the root cause. We always see the problem as it is, or see the suffering on the surface as it is, and we try to solve it superficially. Like, we try to solve, okay, we say we're in debt and we want to get out of debt, but we never look to see why we got into debt in the first place, so we can avoid that in the future. All we do is try to eradicate the current problem. And I'm just using debt just as a simple example. It's like, I have $2,000 in credit card debt. I need to pay that off by the end of this year. But then when you pay it off, you might be susceptible to do it again. It's because you never dug down deep and pulled up the roots and got the seeds out of there, so it won't happen again. And that, like I said, that's an example just to essentially just give you something to visualize, because I know a lot of us are visual learners, and it's hard to understand concepts without, like, practical knowledge. So I think that a lot of times, I've heard people say, I'm drowning in debt, and they're suffering because of it. Now they have to work at a job that they hate but pays really well, so they can pay off or pay for these things that they've built up. Like, they have a certain lifestyle that requires them to make a certain amount of money, and there's no flexibility, and therefore you feel like a prisoner and you feel trapped. And the way I perceive that, and the way I implement that in my life is, would I rather be trapped with all these trinkets and nice material things, or would I rather enjoy the work I do and enjoy my day-to-day life without always feeling the pressure of 100 pounds on my back and always feeling like I have to do stuff? And I don't think we thrive best when we feel obligated to do things we don't enjoy. Or not, you don't have to always enjoy things, but it's not a healthy life, in my opinion, to always feel obligated to do things we don't want to do. And even the things we want to do, as far as career or where we want to go with our life, even the best possible scenario has drawbacks and has certain things that we won't like. But I'm of the opinion that we can make this, we can reduce the suffering, reduce the stress, and reduce the pain of life by not indulging in the things that we think we need. And it's because we never really it's like I would say, I'm in Florida. I get in my car tomorrow. I want to get to California. I have no cheap GPS and no map. There's no plan. There's a goal, but there's no plan. There's no thinking about how to get there and what do I need to do and all this. It's just kind of impulsive. And I think we buy things and we do things and we get careers and we associate with certain people and certain things that we impulsively want because it will give us dopamine hits to make us feel good in the moment without actually thinking about what this will look like in the long term. So hopefully that makes sense, and I want to talk about this more often because it's not that popular to talk about. And I think a lot of people might subconsciously agree with this and think like this, but they don't act it out in real life, and they go and indulge in the things that they superficially want, but isn't best for them to reduce suffering and stress and pain and anger and resentment and all these different emotions that cause life to be suffering. So with that being said, let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next one.